Okay. Hello and welcome to the Luehmann Circus. We are a family of almost 6, and we like to talk about life, family, and all that wonderful stuff that happens in between.
Today we want to talk about sex positivity. So yeah, welcome.
It's gonna be fun.
For quite a while now, at least in the West, sex has been viewed as a negative thing instead of a positive thing, especially inside of the Christian world. There has been these really negative connotations to sex, and since we've been starting asking questions and talking about different topics, we decided to tackle sex. And so you have the video that we did before this one talking about our sex life and how we've been working through our sex life. And now today we wanted to talk to you about sex positivity, because we are parents and because we talk to people all the time and because we wanted to change the chip in our head that naturally equates sex to something bad unless you're married, which is not the case at all. So that's what we're talking about today.
And when we're talking about sex, we're talking about all of it. We're talking about all of it when it comes to sex and yourself, masturbation. We're talking about stuff like that that has this perception that is very negative, at least for me, and I know for my wife, that we were raised up and taught, even after being raised, that it's a very negative thing. And so we actually want to shed a positive light on it because we don't think it's supposed to be a negative thing, and we don't think it's supposed to be something that shames people and guilts people and makes people feel awkward and makes them feel
dirty.
Yeah, makes them feel dirty. It's a terrible feeling. We've both felt that way, and we'd love to shed some light on it and try to bring sex into a positive light and make it look and become the positive thing that it's really supposed to be.
Yeah, so the thing about sex is that it got connected to purity. So that's where we started talking about purity and purity culture, and how purity is this state of being a virgin and of not having impure sexual thoughts. But purity in the Bible and in general in life is so much bigger and greater than just dirty sex. In fact, we can talk about sex, we can have sex and still be pure. Like, one thing is not necessarily connected to the other. But as soon as these two ideas got married, and as soon as we started coming up with purity rings and saying to women and men, oh, put on a ring saying that you will not have impure thoughts and not have sex before you get married, then you started really muddying what purity actually means, and that hurts people's ability to view themselves through the eyes of God.
The purity ring, taking the vow of celibacy, it creates this thing in people's minds that, oh my gosh, I have to stay away from this, because why would you wear the ring? Why would you take a vow of celibacy if you didn't think that what you were going to do if you didn't wear that or take that vow was going to make you dirty and make you feel gross about who you are?
Yeah. So there is a book that came out regarding purity culture, and regarding this book became really, really popular, but I don't even want to mention the books. I don't like it and I don't want to promote it in any way. But this kid who was really young and absolutely had no authority to be talking about this topic, because he was not a sexologist, he was not a therapist, he nothing, no education on this. Anyways, he was just talking about his personal experience. He said that dating was detrimental to our future marriage. So like, even having a dating relationship, like he just said, I don't want to date. I don't want to date anybody until I find the person that I marry. I don't even want to kiss them. And look, if that's what he wanted to do for himself, awesome. The problem is that became a rule for people. That became a symbol of purity. Like, if you don't even kiss before you get married, oh, your purity levels are high. And then people were told, if that's the case, then your marriage has a higher rate of success. And that's not true. Over and over and over and again, it's been proven that marriages that wait to kiss until they get married, marriages that kiss until they get to have sex, all of those things aren't necessarily more successful marriages. One thing is not connected to the other. As always, it is a matter of people's hearts and people's work, and whether you're willing to work with your partner or not. But The problem with all of this is that it gives people an idea that they are impure, which is not true. Kissing somebody doesn't make you impure. Having sexual desire doesn't make you impure. We argue masturbation doesn't necessarily make you impure. Now, could masturbation, could sex, could all of these things make you impure? Yeah, absolutely. They could, like anything can. Like anything that you use abusing people or abusing others or abusing even your own self could bring, could be harmful for your own soul. What were you gonna say?
No, I completely agree with you. I was going to say, when you started talking initially about masturbation and stuff, you said it wouldn't necessarily make you impure, but sex or masturbation, depending on how it's done or whatever, could be impure. I hate the word impure, honestly.
I do too, actually. He's right.
Because we give people the sense that they're going to be pure. Your life is your life as a whole. Just because you think, like, your sex life doesn't make you pure.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you haven't had sex doesn't make you a pure, beautiful human being.
No.
You can still be an asshole. So to be honest, like, it's a made up idea that you're going to be pure. I just hate it because it gives people an idea that, oh my gosh, now I'm tarnished, now I have a scratch, now I look gross, now I'm no longer pure. And that is like the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make you a bad person, it doesn't make you a bad human being, it doesn't make you any worse because you had this thought, because you acted on this idea. It doesn't make you any worse as a person. Yes, it can do mental damage to you, it can do physical damage to you.
Right, but anything can harm you.
Anything can harm you. So honestly, I just hate the word pure. But yes, when it goes to masturbation...
No, I agree with you. I don't... Even when I said it, I was like, impure is not precisely the thought. It's more harmful. Like, things can be harmful. So what we want to create in our home and in our lives, and what we want to create in people's lives that we work with, is actually an idea of sex positivity. An idea that sex is something that was given to us by design. We are sexual people. We are sexual beings. We have sexual organs. Everybody has sexual organs. Some people have more, like, higher sexual desire than other people. Right. And by the way, that has nothing to do with men and women, by the way. That's important to note. That is a social construct that men have more sexual desire than women. That's not true. Some people have more sexual desire than other people, just the way they are wired.
Plain
that is
simple.
It. But sex and sexual desire aren't bad. They aren't something that is going to destroy your marriage or destroy your future or destroy your relationships. Is sex important inside of a relationship? Absolutely.
I believe so.
What were you going to say?
You said evil, and I was like, I remember growing up thinking sex was going to take me away relationally in my relationship with God.
Right.
And even going at that aspect, because we're not just speaking just to Christians, but in that aspect, I remember thinking, oh, if I have sex, it's going to take me away from God. It's going to make me not good enough. And it's just garbage and it's crap. But it is literally what we imprint into people's heads, especially young people.
And it's so silly because we tell them, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, but lie to yourself, repress yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, hurt your own self, do whatever it takes to just be like, no, I'm good. Like, those things are more harmful to a teenager, to a young person, to an adult than actually having sex would be, that actually masturbating would be. No, I'm not advocating for just having meaningless sex with whomever you want and not thinking. That would be harmful too, in my personal opinion.
Because there are consequences that come from the act of sex. There are consequences that come from masturbation, depending on what your thoughts are, what you're doing sexually. There's going to be emotional stuff that happens between you and your sexual partner. I mean, that's one of the large things.
Going back to this book, the guy that actually wrote the book, he came back and said he was wrong. And he realized that he had harmed so many people with this book, talking about purity and talking about these high standards of purity to be able to achieve a godly, good, pure marriage. So he came back and he actually did a documentary. The documentary is not that good either because he still keeps talking about purity culture, but just in different terms. But the thing is, he was actually asking questions of people that were harmed by it, and the amount of people that have been harmed by this idea that if you have sex desire when you're young outside of marriage, that you're impure and that you're wrong and that you're evil is so mind-boggling. And we don't want to raise our children that way. We don't want to live that way. We want to help people actually break free from the chains of those lies, because this is the thing. We were created to have crazy levels of intimacy with one another. We were created as gregarious humans, as gregarious beings that relate to one another in really, really intimate ways. That can be achieved in many forms. One of them is sex. And if you put these ideas that sex is about purity and not about connection with other human beings,
not about intimacy,
then you're taking away sex's power from inside of our relationship. Because it is about purity, it is about actually, it's just about his pleasure. Can sex be about pleasure? Yeah, absolutely, but it's not just about pleasure. And is pleasure bad? No, pleasure isn't bad. Pleasure, like pain, like everything, all of these things that we feel and that we experience as human beings are just direction. Like if this gives me pleasure, then I have to look into it. Like pleasure is good. We have also given pleasure a bad rap, and pleasure is not bad. We were created for pleasure, to experience pleasure in relationship and with, you know, our families and with others and in the world. Like that's what the world is beautiful, because we were created also to experience pleasure. So the reason we believe in sex positivity conversations and sex positivity behavior, the reason why we talk to our kids about sex very openly. They asked how my baby is gonna come out of me, and I told them through my vagina. We use the word vagina, we use the word penis. They asked how the baby got in my stomach. My 6-year-old asked how the baby got in my stomach, and I explained that daddy has a seed and mom, like he has the seed and I have an egg, and that dad gave the seed to mom, and that together they made an egg. And I showed her some pictures. If she would have further asked, she's 6. She didn't ask more questions about that. But if she would have asked how, I would have told her how. I would have told her that daddy has a penis, and the penis, you know, his testicles is where the seeds are. I would explain the whole thing, because there is nothing shameful.
Right.
There is nothing wrong. There is nothing bad about these conversations. She was the one that shut down the conversation. She said, oh, okay. But we have shown them books. We have talked to them very openly about these things, because we want them to know all of these things are natural things that happen inside of a human body. So we want to create an environment where they feel safe and comfortable to talk to us about sex, to talk to us about their feelings, to talk to us about sexual desire and what's going on inside of them.
We want them to talk to us about their thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want their first conversation about, wow, I had this thought about a boy, or I had this thought about a girl, to happen between them and their 12-year-old friend.
Right.
Like
who has no idea.
I don't want that. Or who heard stories from like their older sibling or whatever. I don't want that. I want our children to feel comfortable enough to come to us. And then when we're bold enough to have that conversation with them, because if we don't have those conversations with them, like she did with our 6-year-old, do you know what they see? They see that we are scared to talk to them about it.
And that we are shamed.
And that's where the shame comes in. That is where we show them initially, through the first time we have a conversation about it, sex and intimacy and those things, it's stuff to be ashamed about. If they come and talk to us about masturbation and you're like, don't do it, like, they will forever hold on to that.
Yes.
Kids are so smart and so intelligent. And they will remember, and they'll be like, oh, I can't do that. And when their friends
or even if they ask about like how did the baby get in your tummy, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, there is, and I don't need to do that. There is nothing to be ashamed of. Daddy has a seed, mommy has an egg, daddy gave the seed to the mommy, and I showed her pictures. It wasn't a big deal. Like, it was not a big deal. And we will continue. We talk about penises, we talk about, in a sex positive way, we talk about their bodies, because it's not a big deal. Also, mind you not, it has been proven that children that are more mindful of their organs, are more mindful of sex, are less likely to be sexually assaulted. So that is another reason why we want to talk to them about it, because they know what is appropriate and they know what is not appropriate. They know that shame cannot be put on them. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna touch you, but don't talk about this with your mom because then you're impure.
Right.
She can say like, no, that's not true, and you're not allowed to touch me.
And those conversations will give your kids confidence.
Yes.
Huge amounts of confidence when it comes time when they're older and people around them are actually having sex and doing things like that. Your kids will be wise enough, they will be smart enough, they will know to say, you know what, I'm not ready for that yet. Yeah. They will know.
Because we talk about the purpose of sex.
Yes.
We've talked about the purpose of sex, and we talk about how it is important inside of relationships and how it is... we talk about intimacy, we talk about all of these different things, but this is the thing. If your kids ask you about sex, or if people want to talk about sex and you blush, or you cannot even have that conversation and you feel uncomfortable, then there is a lot of dismantling that you have to do around sex. There is a lot of shame that you are carrying around sex, and that your kids are the people that you are surrounded by too, that you influence, are going to pick up on that. Even if you don't ever mention sex, they are going to pick up on that. They are going to pick up on this is a taboo subject, this is not okay. And so that's why we speak openly about it.
We really have to change the way it's talked about.
Yes.
We have to change the way sex is talked about. We have to change the way intimacy is talked about. Because like Joe said earlier, intimacy is not just sex, and we have this idea in our head that intimacy is connected to sex. Yes, it is, but there's other ways of intimacy.
And intimacy is not just sex. Purity is not about sex. Purity is actually not about sex at all. Purity... Can sex lead to
purity is garbage.
Has nothing to do with sex.
Diamonds find purity in diamonds.
And not even what does that even mean?
It's garbage. It's not an attainable thing. We give people this idea that purity is attainable, and it's not. No. It's made up, and it does so much damage to humans, especially young humans. We have two of them over here who are just trying to play and be quiet and whispering.
Come here, say hi.
Come say hi.
Hello.
You have to sit on the kids.
Hello. Hello.
Come here. What do you say?
Hello.
If you have a hard time talking about sex, if you have a hard time thinking about sex in a positive way, start doing the work of dismantling.
I'm okay.
Come here. Start doing the work of dismantling the ideas surrounding it.
Yes. Oh no. If you have a hard time, if you have a hard time talking about sex, if you have a hard time having conversations about sex and being open and being able to actually express what's going on inside of you regarding sex, because we don't only have conversations with our children and with people around us, we have conversations with each other. There is nothing off topic. We can talk, we can say this is uncomfortable, this is good, or we can we have difficult conversations where sometimes our egos get bruised too, and we have to sit there and be like, whoa, what was that?
Right.
But nothing is off topic. But if it makes you uncomfortable, that means that you have attached the idea of sex to something really, really negative, and that is going to harm you. So do the work of starting dismantling, what do I believe about sex?
For yourself.
For yourself.
Do that work, most definitely, of how do I dismantle these ideas I have about sex.
Yeah. So that's essentially what we had to say. How you address different things with your own teenagers and with your own kids, that's kind of on you, but we'd be happy to answer questions. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and post them here or in any of our social media.
Yeah. You can post them in the comments. We'd love to answer them. If you have thoughts and ideas for us as well, please put that in there.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, please subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram.
Yes. Go ahead and share our videos and help us grow this channel more and more. We just want to really dismantle negative ideas and harmful ideas that have been just passed down through generations without questions. So share our videos and subscribe.
Because honestly, our whole goal with this is to help people heal.
Yeah.
Because we know hurt and we know pain, and healing's on the other side of it, and that's where we want to get to. Yeah. So.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on our next video.